264 on board today. Captaining the aircraft is Captain Tommy Keach. The co-pilot is Captain Ed Abmer, Crew Chief Lance Corporal Nelson, and the observer Sergeant Lopez.
As we saw, this is a tilt rotor aircraft, which means it can take off and land like a helicopter, but once airborne, those nacelles can be rotated to convert the aircraft to a turboprop aeroplane capable of...
On the Osprey was first demonstrated on an aircraft called the Bell XV-15. It was a technology revised version of the XV-15. It became known as the V-22 Osprey in early 1985. Gestation was to some extent a little protracted. The aircraft was eventually rolled out in May 1988 and it first flew in March 1989. It took around a decade for the Osprey to enter service, initially with the US Marine Corps.
See, the nacelles have been rotated, the gear is down, the aircraft has transitioned into the landing configuration.
And the crew will now be decelerating to a hover at just 50 feet at the center point of the display line. Has seen a lot of operational service since then with the Marine Corps. The first combat deployment was to Iraq in September 2007. During their time there, they were used to transport President Obama on one occasion. There's the nacelles going again to 80 degrees.
The rotors rotate in opposite directions, which produce lift, and because they turn in opposite directions, there's no need for a tail rotor to provide stability, as you'd find in a conventional helicopter.
Of course, the advantages of this aircraft are that it can fly faster and higher than a conventional helicopter, but is able, as we've seen, to manoeuvre in much tighter spaces than a fixed-wing tactical transport. And these attributes have come in very handy in Afghanistan. It was VMM 261, the US Marine Corps unit that in November 2009 carried out the type's first deployment to that theatre. A month later came the inaugural combat mission.
It has been a type we could soon be seeing much more in UK skies, not least in the skies of East Anglia.
Yes, because it's scheduled that at least under current plans, that the 352nd Special Operations Group of the US Air Force at RAF Mildenhall will take on a squadron of CV-22B Ospreys, possibly later this year, early next, I can't quite remember. We're going to see a rolling landing now by this MV-22B of the US Marine Corps. display at the MV-22 Osprey as it too departs to Farnborough.
This man's here somewhere.